In our last episode, Kuban-chan was king of the world, winning the World Cup a month after winning Olympic gold. Brady Ellison made great memories in Rio and Denmark, where he battled Chef Vandenberg. You absolutely had to love it. And we did, especially when two of Korea's finest squared off in Odense. When the smoke cleared, we were all looking ahead to 2017. I made the new national team for this year in 2017, and this is the first World Cup stage and international event of the year. It was good for me to do well in qualification. It's good to start ahead of the rest of the competition. Every time, I try my best while competing. I did in Rio. The Olympics really weren't different from this event because I always give my best effort. It's always possible that during qualification you can break the world record, but the elimination round is a different story. I focus on that as much or more. For me, the past is the past. So the last World Championship events are already in the past, and this year is a new start for me. I don't really think about defending the title, just challenging for it. We have one of the strongest men's teams in the world. Kim Jong-ho is a new member of our team, but at the same time, we also have Im Dong-hyun and Oh Jin-hyuk. They are my old teammates, and we are comfortable working together. I am very confident about that, and looking forward to a good performance this year. This year's Cinderella story at Stage 3, the men's team from Kazakhstan, a team that turned out to be the feel-good story of the week in Shanghai. Few had heard of Denis Genkin, Sensar Musayev, or Oybek Sadiev, and for good reason. This Central Asian nation had never won a World Cup medal. On the other hand, the Korean team has more medals than they can probably count. Oh Jin-hyuk, Kim Woo-jin, and Im Dong-hyun, all Olympic champions, all Korean rock stars back home. These three men from Kazakhstan ranked 43rd, 129th, and 175th in the world coming into Stage 1. But the numbers worked in their favor here in China when they surprised the USA and then survived a pair of shoot-offs with Russia and Japan. Kazakhstan guaranteed its first ever World Cup medal. It looked like it would be silver after the first set, but midway through the second, these three unknowns were up by 1, trying to knot the score at 2-all. Genkin nailed a 9, which was then offset when Musayev missed the gold rings, dropping down into the red zone. So it was left to Sadiev to salvage the set, and he came through in the clutch, applying pressure on his Korean counterparts. Mr. Kim, the reigning world champion from Copenhagen 2 years ago, connected with his second 10 of the set. Im Dong-hyun, a two-time Olympic team champion, kept his arrow just inside the 9 line. So the 2012 Olympic champ had a chance to be the hero. It would take a 10 to secure the set, build the lead to 4, but Oh Jin-hyuk saw his shot drift high. A pair of 8s from Mr. O in the same set? Not what the world has come to expect. Nor did anyone expect a 2-all tie between Korea and Kazakhstan going into a third set that saw the Koreans regain their form and composure until the final arrow. Another mystifying 8 off the bow of Mr. O, but no harm done. It would take a trio of 10s for Kazakhstan to split the set. But that scenario went out the window, and Genkin's shot goes just a little off course to the right, and Musayev's next arrow goes a long way off course wide to the left. Sadiev continues on this course, Kazakhstan spraying the target with shots all over the map. Surely they'd had their fun, and now the match would go according to the script. Not so fast. The fourth set's all even when Genkin steps up and gets the job done. Musayev may have moved his sight, but it didn't pay off, so Kazakhstan really needed Sadiev to save the day, and he did. Nailed it. Korea could not put this match on cruise control, especially after Kim Woo-jin counters with a 9. Korea stuck in a rut. Another 9 from Mr. Im. But Korea can still close out the match if O comes through with a 10. Instead, he rewrites the script. Korea drops the set, the crowd goes crazy, and Kazakhstan moves into a 4-all tie, which calls for an anything can happen shoot-off. Korea's famous for staying cool when the heat's on, but this time there's cracks in the armor, and 8 from Kim Woo-jin. That's rolling out the red carpet for Kazakhstan. How would Genkin and Musayev and Saidiev respond? Would the moment be too big for them? Would they let Korea off the hook? Genkin led the way, leading off with a solid 9. Now the spotlight was back on Korea, back on Im Dong-hyun, a man who had not reached the podium since a year ago in Shanghai. He obviously wanted that view from the top spot again. A 10 for Im Dong-hyun. Meanwhile, Musayev had struggled at times during this match. A 21-year-old averaging under 9 points per arrow. Musayev was able to muster up a 9 to tie up this shoot-off with 1 arrow to go. Time for Korea's go-to guy to come up big. Oh so big in this sport for oh so many years, Mr. O is the man most would want to take the last shot. But this time, it would not work out. Another 8 left Korea in a highly unusual position, at the mercy of another team. They would experience the same helpless feeling so many others had gone through when the shoe was on the other foot. This time, the shoe was a perfect fit for Oybek Saidiev, who set off a celebration in Shanghai and in the grandstands, not to mention all the way back home in Kazakhstan. It is thumbs up all around for a nation that not only won its first ever World Cup medal, but made sure that medal was solid gold.
Пока, если честно, чуть-чуть где-то не осознаем.
We are very nervous. You know, we still don't believe that we won the Archery World Cup. We still feel like we're still out on the field, shooting. But we feel great to get a gold medal. We were preparing for that. The main goal of our match was not to win against Korea. Our main goal was just to show that we shoot well in Kazakhstan and to show the world that we have good athletes too. USA-Russia for all the marbles in the mixed team bronze medal match, and this one would go to a shoot-off. The Americans winning the first two sets, the Russians storming back, taking care of business in the last two sets. Zach Garrett zeroes in and gets the party started. Back on target two, Alexander Kozhin gets cozy with the 10 ring. He finds the sweet spot, and the outcome still up for grabs. Mackenzie Brown's about to lay one down, but it's not what she had in mind. The Americans in jeopardy. Natalia Erdinayeva with a chance to clinch the bronze for Russia, but she rings up a 7, and that decides it. The Americans win by 1. Had there been a tie, Garrett's arrow was closer to the center by 1 millimeter.
They want to lift their hand.
Would there be as much drama in the mixed team gold medal match between Korea and Chinese Taipei? The answer was yes. This was a seesaw battle that also went to a shoot-off. Whatever seemed to plague the Korean team must have been contagious. Shanghai Jin opening up with a shocking 7. The only consolation? Taipei's Tan Yating wasn't much more accurate, but she was sharp enough to give her team a 1-point edge. Desperate times call for big-time shots, the kind Kim Woo-jin's come through with on countless occasions. 9's not bad, but once again, Korea's very vulnerable, especially when Wei Chung Heng's on the line, with a match on the line. All he needs is 9, and there's no doubt about this arrow. So, Chinese Taipei avenges its loss to Brady Ellison and Katuna Lorig in the same match a year ago, and this time, they don't settle for silver. We were very happy to make it into the final and compete against Korea. We saw this as a good opportunity to prove our ability and show that we can do it. We didn't think about results. We were nervous. We just did our best to finish this match. Obviously, it had not been the best of days for archers from the peninsula. Shanghai Jin had certainly seen better times last summer in Rio, where she emerged with an Olympic gold medal. That victory came at the expense of, among others, Kibo Bae, Korea's 2012 Olympic champion in London. She came up short in her semifinal match in Brazil with Ms. Chang, so this was a chance to avenge that loss. Fourth set, the two are tied at 3 apiece. Kibo Bae opens with a shot that's on the money, raising the stakes for her teammate. And her teammate raises her game. Everything is still even. There appears to be a slight break when Ms. Key cannot connect and bank another 10. Turns out, though, no damage done. Chang unable to take advantage. She tries to focus on her next shot and forget about the last one. She'll have to because Kibo Bae means business. This arrow gives her the upper hand, mentally and on the scoreboard. Ms. Chang unable to keep pace. And so the set belongs to Kibo Bae, who now leads 5-3 in this rematch from Rio. Ms. Key came to Shanghai with low expectations, claiming her game was not in top shape, that she was not in top form, but now she was on the verge of adding another gold medal to her extensive collection, and her chances looked good and even better after an 8 from Chang to open the 5th set. Key was going for the kill, something she's been trained to do and has done many times before. Meanwhile, for Chang, the frustration would only build. Her last victory on the World Cup tour had come in Turkey back in 2014, and now this chance seemed to be slipping away from Shanghai Jin while being grabbed away by Kibo Bae. She now had a healthy lead and a ton of confidence. And that was something that seemed to be missing for Ms. Chang, who never really found the range when it mattered the most. Yes, she'd seen better days and could still smile through her disappointment, knowing there is no shame finishing second to someone with the style, form, experience, and track record possessed by the incomparable Kibo Bay, who exceeded her own expectations for stage one. Not in top shape for Shanghai? Best of luck to everyone else when she is. First of all, before shooting the gold medal final match against Shanghai Jin, I thought it was going to be a really interesting match because I am the Olympic gold medalist from London and Chang is the gold medalist from Rio. So it was going to be a fantastic match for the two of us and for the spectators as well. I was looking forward to it. And during the match, I made a mistake. No points for a missed attempt. At that moment, I just lost control, and I didn't have enough time to shoot. But I realized I needed to improve, and I needed to be more prepared. This was a good experience in international competition. Korea and Im Dong-hyun would get another shot at redemption in the men's bronze medal match, a match that also offered a shot for Chef Vandenberg to medal in Shanghai for the second year in a row. Last year's gold medalist at stage one found himself trailing by 2 going into a final set and possibly digging himself a deeper hole to try and climb out of. Im Dong-hyun had already tasted defeat on Recurve Sunday, settling for silver in that stunning loss to Kazakhstan in the men's team gold medal match. Now all he needed was a split and the bronze would be his. The Dutchman would do his best to dial up more pressure, but Mr. Im didn't seem to mind the heat. Nor did he seem interested in sharing the set with the chef, who couldn't seem to whip up the right recipe. No, this time it would be Korea's Im Dong-hyun cooking up a convincing victory. It had been a long time coming for Im, whose last individual conquest on the World Cup tour came in Colombia back in 2015. Almost 2 years later, after trailing by 2, after the first 6 arrows, he comes from behind, splitting the third set and taking the final 2, claiming bronze for Korea. Speaking of redemption, Kim Woo-jin had already settled for silver not once but twice on this day of surprises. But those had been in team competition. Now he only had himself to take care of, if he could take care of a young man making his international debut on the senior circuit. The Netherlands' Steve Veilig had ventured to China hoping to make the top 32. And now this unheralded 20-year-old had a shot at the top spot on the podium. Veilig served notice right from the get-go that he would go toe-to-toe with Mr. Kim, who was hoping to avoid the same fate his teammate suffered, Im Dong-hyun losing to Veilig in the semis. Kim seemed to be in good shape, opening with a good group, but Veilig was in better shape after that 10. And he was in even better shape after this gift from Kim. Veilig, taking no chances, secure the set with another 10 to claim an early lead in this match. Surprising? Shouldn't have been. Seeded 19th after the ranking round, Veilig had worked his way through the field, knocking off India's Atanu Das, Malaysia's Khairul Mohammed, and Korea's Kim Jong-ho. Would Kim Woo-jin fall victim too? Might all come down to a matter of millimeters. That first shot of the second set, a painful one, so close and yet so far from where Kim knew he had to be, especially with Veilig putting a laser lock on the circle in the center of his target. He was making it look easy. Meanwhile, nothing was coming easy for Mr. Kim, who continued to struggle, unable to find the 10 ring. All he could do was hold his breath and wait to see what his opponent's next shot would bring. This time, it was a bit of a reprieve. Veilig missing a chance to increase his lead in this set, which was fading fast for Kim Woo-jin. A 10 here might do the trick and turn his luck around. But no such luck. A string of 9s had backed him into a corner, and the young Dutchman wasn't about to let him off the hook. He had just enough to win the set and build a shocking 4-0 lead in the match. Nothing about this display would give any indication that this was a rookie on his first time out on the big stage. And the way he carried himself, it felt like he'd been here before, in a setting that might have been imposing for a lesser man. With the shadows starting to stretch across the field of play, Kim Woo-jin still held hope he could emerge victorious from those shadows. But it would have to start right now in this pivotal third set, which seemed like a repeat of the first two. But this time, it was a bit different. For a change, Weilich didn't forge ahead on his first shot. Was that a confidence boost for Mr. Kim? The result seemed to speak for itself. At long last, he had the upper hand. And he had an even better hand when Weilich drew a 7. The Korean would parlay that hand, making sure the score was out of reach for Weilich, who was not fazed in the least bit. As if to say that 7 was a fluke, this neophyte from the Netherlands served notice he wasn't flustered and he wasn't backing down. The deficit had been cut in half, and yet it felt as though Steve Weilich held all the cards. Kim Woo-jin would try to take control of the match again with an all-too-rare 10. But Steve Weilich was steady as a rock, rocking the house with a 10 of his own. That put the burden right back on Kim's shoulders. His next arrow? Oh, so close, just barely off the line. But it might as well have been 100 kilometers away. This would only give him 9 points, while giving Weilich a chance to regain a vice-like grip on these proceedings. Eventually, even Kim Woo-jin seemed to acknowledge that this just wasn't his day. Instead, it was a day that belonged to one Mr. Steve Weilich, a day when youth was served. The latest in a long line of protégés produced by coach Ron Vanderhoff, he planted his last shot on the line to clinch the set, the match, the gold medal, and the attention of everyone in the world of archery.
Ik voel me echt ontzettend
It
geweldig.
feels extremely awesome.
Ik ging er naartoe met een idee van
My expectations when I came here to China, to be in the top 32. So, when I won it, it was just phenomenal. I didn't expect that it was going to be like this. I had one bad arrow, but it was mostly because of the wind, which can happen.